What's up, guys? I'm back with another video, and today, man, we're gonna be checking out the breakdown of the last episode of the season, the Entertainment District arc. Man, we have come to the end, and it's crazy, bro. I don't know how long we're gonna have to wait until the next fucking season, but man, it's come to an end, and it's crazy, bro. It's crazy how this ended. But thank y'all so much for all the support. Thank y'all so much for all the love that I be getting on the channel. I love y'all so damn much. Y'all know that nothing would be possible without y'all, and y'all know that y'all mean so damn much to me. So if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, make sure to hit that sub button, hit those likes, and turn on notification bells so y'all can get notified whenever I drop a video, man. Bro, I just noticed my streams, my mic wasn't connected in my OBS, you know what I'm saying? I was literally talking to nobody. That's tough. That's tough. But anyways, we got a long ass video.
And
bro.
season 2 of Demon Slayer, the Entertainment District arc has come to a close and has done so in such an incredible way. This was a perfect wrap up for me for what was my favorite arc of the story. Yeah. And although that may be how I feel with the manga, I'm sure this anime may very well be able to change my mind with what is to come further on. The ways in which Studio Ufotable were able to elevate the content of the source material, the manga, have been numerous and astonishing. We really enjoyed covering these episodes week to week and hope that you guys feel the same way, enough to look forward to the next arc, which has already been officially announced. Season 3 will cover the Swordsmith Village arc. No word yet on when it will be released, but this is going to be season 3, not a new movie, which is a tad bit surprising, but I'm very happy about this because again, that means we get to cover this stuff week to week with all of you. And in the meanwhile, we will continue to provide you guys with plenty of Demon Slayer content to hold you over. But now in regards to episode 11 of this Entertainment District arc, we would first open up with what we left off on with the previous episode, which was quite the cliffhanger indeed. However, here, as opposed to the manga,
not gonna lie, bro. Not gonna lie. It surprised me. This definitely surprised me, and I'm going to tell y'all why. Hold on.
Where it did not have this at all, we would have Nezuko save the day. We would visually get to see her use her blood demon art against that of Gyutaro's and succeed in saving everyone's lives. I always found it kind of weird that we didn't get anything of the sort in the manga. We just got Tanjiro waking up, but here we get to see everything. And it really does make Nezuko look a whole lot stronger. We already knew that she had regenerative capabilities on par with the Upper Moon demons, even succeeding those of Daki's, but here, there's also the inclusion that her blood demon arc can counteract that of Gyutaro's to the point of completely nullifying it. And so a part of me has to wonder, if not for Nezuko's craving of human flesh in this instance, if she were to be a productive member of this team against the Upper Moon demons, how would things have turned out? I feel as though they would have definitely been able to win a whole lot easier. Tengen probably would not lose an eye and an arm and all that. But yeah, shout out to Nezuko. She is the only reason that they are all alive. And it gets even deeper than that.
Y'all know why I thought it was going to be different, man? I really thought Tengen was going to die here, bro. I really thought that Tengen was going to sacrifice himself for Tanjiro in order to save him from those slashes. But then I saw Nezuko in the beginning and I was like, oh, whoa. But yeah, man, I mean, that they completely changed it on me. I thought Tengen was dead here.
She was able to nullify the poison that was circulating through Tanjiro's system, which would have killed him if not for her. That being said, he still could not move on his own, and so Nezuko would return the favor by lifting him up and carrying him on her back. From which point we return to Zenitsu, who had reverted back into his sniveling and crying form. His inherently cowardly nature, who had no idea how any of this stuff happened. He wondered who had broken his legs, like what was really going on here. And so with that, we pretty much have confirmation that Zenitsu has two different personalities within him. There's one consciousness, which is a coward and such, and there is another that is rather courageous and rather cool. And so from now on, when someone tells me that Zenitsu is their favorite character or they really like the guy, I have to wonder which Zenitsu they're talking about. But in even worse shape than Zenitsu was Inosuke, who was clinging on to just a bit of life left. His heartbeat was wavering. And despite not being able to move over to his aid for obvious reasons, Zenitsu was able to perceive that Inosuke's heartbeat was wavering on account of his incredible sense of hearing. Now, like Tengen, Inosuke does have poison resistance, but not poison immunity, and so the poison was still in his system and was on the verge of killing him. Tanjiro would think to bring him into sunlight, as it would be able to purge this demonic ailment. However, Daki and Gyutaro were not kidding. It was going to be a very long time until the sun rose again, and so there was no time. He would think to call out to Shinobu with a crow, but again, that would take too long. As things were currently going, Inosuke was most definitely going to die. And at that point, once Tanjiro recognized this, he immediately went into survivor guilt mode. He'd wonder why he was the one who was alright, why he was the one who was alive, and he would get his answer. It was because of Nezuko, who would also heal Inosuke. Well, perhaps not so much as heal, but remove the poison from him.
Bro,
and you know, all throughout these strenuous and gut-wrenching scenes, I find it really funny that Chibi Nezuko is just over here chilling. Like, she can't even communicate, hey, I'm able to heal him up, it'll be okay. Tanjiro is losing his mind, and she's just over here just, alright, well, let me do this. And from there, things kind of just became a bit more comedic as opposed to serious, despite Tengen being surrounded by his 3 wives who believed he was on the verge of death, that he was going to no longer be here. It would just become a funny thing, because at the end of the day, we knew that Nezuko would be able to save Tengen as well. And really and truly, Tengen's wives are hilarious. They are just so funny together. I'd really like to know which of these 3 is your favorite. I have to say that Suma is mine, because she is just so animated, so crazy, so ridiculous.
I'd have to say, what the fuck is her name, bro? I mean, Makio is, she's fire, not gonna lie. But Hinatsuru, I like Hinatsuru more than the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. She's just calm and collected, and she knows what she's after. You know what I'm saying? She just seems like a cool person.
No matter what situation she may find herself in, she's a big crybaby, and she is a loudmouth. It is really entertaining to see her. And you know what? Despite only getting so many inclusions of these 3, it is incredible how much character and charm they're able to provide to us despite their limited screen time. These guys are ridiculous. I would seriously pay top dollar for an Uzui family slice of life series. I'll take an OVA, I'll take a spin-off manga. Give me more of these guys. They deserve it. But yeah, my goat Tengen gets to continue living. I am so happy about this. From there, Tanjiro, with the aid of Nezuko, would make his way over to a pool of the demon's blood, collect a sample, and send it off to Tamayo. Because if you remember, for the sake of reverting Nezuko back to a human, Tanjiro has been collecting samples of demon blood for the sake of Tamayo's research. And the more saturated they may be with Muzan's own blood, the better, making the blood of Upper Moon demons especially useful. So taking Upper Rank 6 down has been a major boon for them on that front. Next up, we would have the decapitated heads of Daki and Gyutaro, who were most definitely going.
This was sad, bro. This was just sad and interesting at the same time. Like, it was crazy, man.
At it, berating one another and complaining just endlessly. And at first things were topical, you know, just pointing fingers, but then it got a bit more hard-hitting and painful emotionally. And I will say that the anime really handled this incredibly, just because of how they paced it. I mean, after screaming at each other back and forth, there was a sort of silence, a pause as they both huffed and breathed in and out rapidly. And at this point, Daki knew that what she was about to say was bad. She wanted to hurt her brother in this instance. So much so that she began to hurt herself as she said it. She was crying as she began to say these words. For a long while, we have known how Daki feels about ugliness, but such sentiments were never directed towards her brother despite him being visibly unsettling. But here she does so, and even goes as far as to denounce their blood ties, saying that someone as ugly as him couldn't possibly be her brother. She'd call him worthless, saying that his strength was his only saving grace, but now he had lost, and so he was a worthless.
Bro, I was defending Gyutaro right here, bro. I was like, how the fuck? He saved your ass so many times. Like, you would have been long gone, dead as fuck, if you didn't have fucking Gyutaro by your side. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what is you talking about? Bro, Gyutaro deserves way more credit. This motherfucker right here was just mad as shit that they lost, bro. I mean, both of them, obviously, but like, come on, man.
Loser. And just looking at his reaction, this
like,
hurt. This
yeah,
cut
this
deep.
hurt.
Hearing that from his sister, who he cherished so much, for her to say those sorts of things, it hurt Gyutaro. And
It
so
was crazy.
when he's hurt, he wanted to hurt her back. And before he would let out these words, again, we would receive that pause as he took these words in. And it felt so weighty. It felt so real. It felt so emotional. He doesn't cry like her. He's not a crybaby in that sense. But regardless, despite being a tough masculine figure, he very much has feelings too. And you can hear the transition in his tone. His just empty breaths become more agitated, angry, and belligerent. He's just saying these things that ultimately he does not truly mean or feel, to the point where Tanjiro has to stop him. Tanjiro, who, despite recognizing these two to be demons, has always been an empathetic character, and even more so in this instance because he's able to see himself in their position. And as he was saying these things to her, Daki would just take it and just silently cry. I mean, it was just painful on both sides. And it's very interesting that Tanjiro leapt to the aid here, or stopped Gyutaro in this way. He got off of Nezuko's back and just rushed towards these two. And remember, Tanjiro is in no shape to be moving. His body moved him emotionally. He felt such a call, such a drive, such a need to intercept this situation and just help these two despite everything they had done. The empathetic nature of this character is on full display, more so than ever perhaps. And I mean, he has many of these sorts of instances, but for me, considering the pacing, considering the emotional depth, considering the comparisons to be made between these siblings and the Kamado siblings, this is perhaps the most impactful one of them all. The voice actors behind Gyutaro and Daki really and truly brought new life to these characters for me. The anime did change a few minor things here, like in the manga, while Tanjiro is with Gyutaro, Nezuko is next to Daki, which again is highlighting the comparison between these two groups. And it is just so crazy that despite all that these characters have done, I feel so terribly saddened for them. And it only becomes worse when we get their proper backstory. As it turns out, Daki's real name is Ume, and she was named after the disease that killed their mother. So essentially her name was syphilis. These two had been in the entertainment district their entire lives, and they were born in the lowest caste at that. Now, Gyutaro's early life was horrendous. His mother tried to kill him many times while she was pregnant with him, and then furthermore tried to kill him several times over while he was out and about. He was always weak and frail, but even still, he still clung to life somehow. He was subjected to all manner of abuse on account of him being so especially ugly in this place where beauty is everything. From eating mice to insects, being lathered in lice and dandruff, and his only toy being a sickle that a customer had left behind. Suffice to say, Gyutaro's existence was horrendous. Like, really and truly, there was no redeeming aspect to his existence in the slightest. That was until his sister Ume was born. And considering how simple the visuals for all this were in the manga, I really appreciate what the anime was able to do with this stuff. Ume was Gyutaro's pride and joy. She was everything that he wasn't. She was beautiful. And in being with her, in his desire to protect her, he came to realize that he was really good at fighting. So much so that he became a notorious debt collector who was very proud of his ugliness, as it did aid him in this work. Things were finally on the up and up. He felt as though their lives were going in a good direction. And the anime manages to exemplify this by the fact that Gyutaro has food with him. A whole lot of food at that, considering their starving nature and the difficulty of where they live. Something that was not present in the manga. But what he returned to was an Ume, a 13-year-old Ume at that, who had been burnt alive. What was ultimately the retaliation of a samurai who Ume had stabbed in the eye with her hairpin, which we'll discuss a bit more in due time. However, Gyutaro would notice that Ume was still alive. There was a shred of life still within her, and so there was still a bit of hope, and that will bring us back to the beginning of the series with Tanjiro and Nezuko. Tanjiro noticed that Nezuko, despite everyone else in his household being dead, did still breathe. She was still alive, that faint glimmer of hope, and so he needed help. He needed to bring her somewhere. And for Tanjiro, that was going to be difficult because they were away from town. To get a doctor in time, it was not a certain thing. And in the case of Gyutaro, it is very similar in the sense that nobody cares about these wretches, these urchins of this poor district. Nobody cares about them but them. But there is a key, looming, and undeniable difference between these two groups of siblings, and that is upbringing. Gyutaro and Ume came from the trenches. They were born in the filth and the grime, treated like trash. Gyutaro's mother repeatedly tried to kill him, whereas Tanjiro's was very loving, very tender, and they had several other siblings. They had a father as well. And so whereas in the worst case scenario, Tanjiro would turn to the thought of God and pray for his sister's salvation, pray for her safety, pray for her happiness, Gyutaro would curse the gods, curse every Buddha, anything to possibly exist if they were to be as cruel as to take away his beautiful sister from him. The only shining glimmer in his life, the only thing that has ever felt, been, or gone right in his life. If this were to ultimately be the hand that fate would deal him, he just would refuse it outright. And there is no way you could possibly blame him for feeling that way. Like he said, it is just too cruel. But to add insult to injury, it would be the samurai here to finish the job, attempting to—
I was like, ain't no fucking way you're doing
kill
that,
her
bro.
brother as well.
I thought it was gonna—
taking things even further than too far. And Gyutaro would easily kill the madam who had orchestrated this, who had brought this man to them, only to then set his sights on the samurai. And it is with this that Gyutaro begins his banter, where he remarks about how incredibly pristine and clean his opponent is, how lavish and incredible of a life they must live. And so to all that, for this guy who has all these luxuries, to react as extremely as he did at the mere loss of a simple eye, Gyutaro could not accept it, and with his single sickle, he was able to kill this man so easily. And it was a weighty hit at that. The audio just makes it so impactful. Not only does he split this man's face in two, but he does the very same with his katana. And I'd also like to recognize that this is a samurai that we are dealing with. This is someone who is a trained combatant, a trained fighter, being killed by this teenager, this sickly and frail teenager at that. And the fact that this man is a samurai should exemplify how old Gyutaro and Ume are. How long ago the time in which they were humans actually was. Because in the current time period of Demon Slayer, despite there being a bunch of swordsmen by way of the Demon Slayers, beyond the combating of demons, the way of the blade, swordsmanship as a whole has diminished tremendously as firearms are the new big bad thing. But even despite killing these two, this did not solve anything. Ume was still charred and nobody would help them. They were desperate and out of options. That was until like Tanjiro and Nezuko, a saving figure would appear, and in their case, it would be a demon, the former upper rank 6 demon at that, whose name I unfortunately cannot say for spoiler reasons, but goodness gracious, to finally receive his presence is just jaw-dropping. I have always questioned what his voice may be like, how they may handle him in the anime adaptation, even down to the color of his hair, as it was unclear how exactly it would be dealt with.
He looks crazy.
I mean, in some colored versions of the manga, his hair was made to be blonde. However, when Gotoge colored the character and did some promotional work for him, they had his hair be silver. And it looks like with the anime, his hair is going to be silver as well. What a dazzling presence this is. Beautiful eyes at that.
That's what I said.
And you know, despite all that had happened, Gyutaro did not regret becoming a demon at all. And I do not blame him. I think that their lives as demons were way better than the hand that they were dealt as humans. Perhaps there was a potential for things to turn around and become better, but just like with how their lives as humans ended, I really do not blame them for turning out the way that they did. But Gyutaro would most definitely blame himself for how his sister Ume turned out, as without him, if she were to be born in a proper family, she would have been a far greater person. He felt as though the way he raised her ruined her. He taught her to collect from others before they could collect from her, and he felt that that was the wrong thing to do, at least in hindsight. Which now brings us back to the subject of Ume and this samurai. Now, let's remember what sort of place the entertainment district is. Without us being explicit, let us recall the business, the work, that a person in the entertainment district like Ume would be up to. We are talking about a 13-year-old girl and this grown man samurai. Gyutaro regrets the way in which he raised Ume because if she had been more obedient, she may have gone down a very different path. The samurai gave her the very hairpin that she stabbed him with later. Now, again, we will not be explicit here, but most definitely this samurai is a sicko. These sorts of situations were considered normal for the time period, and with this being her profession, this was something that Ume was accustomed to. However, for her to have stabbed this man in the eye, that says that he took it even further than that, and she refused. She refused his advancements. She did not consent to whatever sick nonsense he was on.
Yeah, that's true.
And he retaliated in the way that he did. So, even more so, I cannot blame these two demons at all. To the point where truly, if I were to give any critiques to their behavior in this way, I would say that Ume should have taken both eyes. But now in the afterlife, in purgatory, we would have Gyutaro and Ume. Not Gyutaro and Daki, Gyutaro and Ume, his childhood sister. Here, Gyutaro would refuse his sister, telling her to take another path, to go towards the light, to go to heaven, while he makes his way to hell. And this was a truly emotional sequence. I am more empathetic towards these demons than any others, really and truly. And Ume would apologize for the cruel words she had shared just before they perished, saying that she didn't mean any of it, that she was just avoiding. She didn't want to admit that they had lost because of her. But again, Gyutaro, with the very same sentiment, would want the best for his sister and tell her to just go elsewhere. But she refused. She would jump on his back and refuse. And her being on his back, again, is another comparison to Tanjiro and Nezuko. Then reminding him of a promise that they had made to be together forever. And this is just such an emotional conclusion, man. This episode...
It was, bro. That shit had me in my feelings. I was like, what the fuck, man? This is crazy. Like, these demons, like, man, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, their world of demons, like he said, it was much better than when they were human, you know what I'm saying? They were treated like ass, you know? But it's crazy.
So
man.
It is just so well done in the conveyance of emotions and sorrow, as this whole series is really and truly. And eventually, as Ume continued to cry, Gyutaro would take her with him to hell. And that would be the end of these upper rank 6 demons. Oh man, I love these two. I'm sad to see them go, but to go in such a magnificent fashion, you couldn't ask for anything greater. Like, I have no doubt that these two performances will stick with me for a very long time, if not forever. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, Tanjiro would wonder if the two were able to make up, where Nezuko was certain that they had. And it's always nice to see a bit of communication from Nezuko. But elsewhere, to visit Tengen and his 3 wives, it would be Obanai Iguro, the Serpent Hashira.
Bro, this man was talking, bro, the Serpent Hashira. He was talking so much shit, bro. Like, if he would have beat them hella easily. Like, I low-key want to see him fight now. Watch
who
this.
had only just shown up and was incredibly condescending. He would point out that this was the first Upper Moon demon to be taken out in over 100 years, but it was upper rank 6, the lowest of them, so it wasn't that impressive, but hey, you did something at least. Then adding more salt to the wound by pointing out that Tengen had lost his hand and eye while fighting a mere upper 6. Wondering how long it would take him to recover and who would take his place in the meanwhile, but Tengen would interrupt him by saying that he is going to be retiring and that he is sure the master will understand it. And Obanai was not a fan of this at all. He would outright refuse it, saying that he would not allow something like this to pass, as demon slayers, young demon slayers at that, do not last long enough these days to even become strong enough to become a Hashira. Not to mention they already had a vacancy in the pillars because they had lost Rengoku, so injury or not, they would need this guy to fight until he dies. But Tengen would correct him. There was someone who would be able to realize his full potential. The very demon slayer that Obanai could not stand, Tanjiro, which the serpent pillar could not believe. And from there, by way of Messenger Crow, Master Ubuyashiki would come to know of what had transpired within this battle and would be delighted. He was hyped like all of us, saying that this was the first time in over 100 years. This was a dramatic turn of fate. The tide was shifting, and they would before long be able to take the fight to Kibutsuji Muzan and finally rid the world of this demonic scourge. The time has come, which would then bring us to Muzan's Infinity Castle with Akaza.
Not gonna lie, I like how we were only shown Akaza. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I don't know why, like, low-key, I wish we would have seen the other upper ranks, because obviously they were all summoned to that place in order to let them know what had happened. Even though they already know, because Akaza already knew. He was like, bro, if we're here, then that means one of us got defeated. You know what I'm saying? And he was shocked, low-key, but we got to see Akaza again. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Who, in being here, immediately knew that this meant that an upper moon demon had been killed. And so the demon slayers are not the only ones making their moves. So too are the demons. And as I'm sure you may be able to imagine, Muzan will not be pleased. But boy, oh boy, are we, because the whole gang is still here, they are alive, and they are happy to be that way. And we are so happy to have had you guys along for the ride with us, breaking down these episodes, enjoying these episodes, and longing for plenty more. So if for some reason or another you have yet to subscribe to the channel with notifications on, please go ahead and do so. Not to mention, if you are interested in our coverage of Western comic content as well, go ahead and check out our new channel, Plot Armor Comics, where we do just that. But when it comes to bringing you some of the best Demon Slayer content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I've been Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an awesome day. I love you.
Love you too. That was fire, bro. This man has the best breakdowns, no cap. This episode was insane. So much detail, so much just emotion. And I can't wait for the next season already, man. It's tough, bro. We're gonna have to wait a long ass time. I ain't even gonna lie. Fuck me. But anyways, y'all, thank y'all so much for all the support. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. If you stuck through all of it, even if you didn't stick through all of it, thank you so much for stopping by. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all so damn much. And y'all are amazing. You know what I'm saying? This means so much to me. If you're new to the channel and you're into the content, make sure to hit that sub button, hit those likes, and turn on NOTI bell so y'all can get notified whenever I drop a video, man. KZ fam, stay positive, stay healthy, and most definitely keep that strong mentality, man. We gonna keep growing. We gonna keep getting stronger, you know what I'm saying? I'm out.
Yeah, I said I feel invincible. It's 100 niggas in the spot. I won't keep going. It's 85 just to walk on.